This rich kid saw a poor student eating nothing but plain boiled vegetables every day, so he grabbed a huge plate of raised pork and sat right across from him on purpose. The poor student, already insecure, felt so embarrassed he awkwardly picked up his tray and moved aside. But then another rich kid showed up with a chicken leg, smirking as he sat in the spot he just cleared. The poor student had no choice but to grab his tray again, looking for somewhere quiet to eat. But when he turned around, he realized the class monitor was sitting right next to him. He wanted to move again, but those two rich kids already surrounded him from both sides, trapping him in the middle. The mocking intent was obvious. Sit down. Why are you wandering around just to eat? The poor student's heart sank. He knew he couldn't escape today, but what could he do? His family was poor. However, what happened next would stay with him forever. They pushed several tables together, and the monitor ordered everyone to eat together. They stood up, and all three of them pushed their red, braised pork, chicken legs, and all the good food straight to the poor student. Looking at the food suddenly piled in front of him, the poor student froze, his eyes instantly welling up. He understood what they meant. He never expected these wealthy classmates not only didn't look down on him, but actually helped him quietly like this without embarrassing him, giving him all the dignity he needed. Turns out this poor student in patched clothes was named Yang Fan. He studied hard for years and scored over 700 on the Gaokao to get into National Defense University. But he was born in a remote mountain village in Sichuan. His parents were poor farmers with no real skills. Even eating every day was a struggle. To save money on the train ticket to school, Yang Fan actually left home half a month early wearing torn canvas shoes, planning to walk hundreds of kilometers to get to school. When he got hungry or tired, he'd just eat some hard cold steamed buns, never daring to stop walking. Having hope kept him going, but this was basically impossible. By the time he finally reached the city, he'd already missed the school registration deadline, just a dozen hours before registration closed. Students from all over the country had arrived, but Yang Fan was still nowhere to be seen. His roommates thought it was strange. The next morning at 9 a.m. was the final registration deadline. If he didn't show up by then, all those years of hard work to get into this school would be wasted. Meanwhile, Director Zhao at the school also found out. Since Yang Fan's family had no phone, there was no way to check on him. If he missed the registration time, the school would have to process his withdrawal according to regulations. But by the next morning, Yang Fan still hadn't shown up. His roommates started worrying about this new classmate they hadn't even met yet. Our roommate, if he doesn't come before 9 o'clock, will he really get expelled? What do you think? School rules aren't a joke. Besides, we're national defense students. It'll definitely be stricter. In the end, no miracle happened. Yang Fan still couldn't make the registration deadline. He finally hitched a ride and arrived at school too late, but he didn't know his file was already being stamped with expulsion. Yang Fan didn't rush to registration. Instead, he found a corner to change out his worn-out cloth shoes and carefully tucked them into his backpack. Then he grabbed his luggage and ran desperately toward the academic building. But because he was running too fast, he accidentally bumped into the roommates who'd been worried about him. Who? You blinking? Someone still registering this late? Could that be Yang Fan? He ran toward the defense building. It's definitely Yang Fan. After months of traveling, Yang Fan was completely exhausted. The moment he rushed into the building, he stumbled and crashed right into an instructor coming out. Seeing the files scattered on the ground, the instructor immediately recognized him. You're Yang Fan? The instructor was about to reach for Yang Fan's file, but a female staff officer named Gao snatched it away. She first looked at the stopwatch in her hand, then said expressionlessly, It's 9:09 a.m. You're rejected. Go back. We'll have the school send your file to you. Later, Staff Officer Gao turned and left, leaving Yang Fan standing there alone, completely lost. The instructor thought Staff Officer Gao was too rigid and heartless, so he followed her to the office to plead for Yang Fan, saying he was only a few minutes late. There's no need to be so strict with a new student. After all, the school focuses on nurturing talent, not destroying a kid's future over a few minutes, the nation's youth. But Staff Officer Gao was uncompromising, stating that as a future soldier, even 1 minute late is unacceptable. A soldier must be organized and disciplined. But the instructor felt they were still new students and couldn't be held to military standards completely. The law shows no mercy, but they're living people. But Staff Officer Gao coldly interrupted him. Under my command, there are only soldiers, no students. You're being unreasonable. Look carefully. What is this place? A school? A civilian university? Not your Marine Brigade. Files are under my control. If I say no expulsion, there's no expulsion. Files are yours to manage. You can keep them. People are under my control. If I say no, it's no. Seeing Staff Officer Gao was like a stone wall, the instructor had to find upper management. He hoped the director could speak up for Yang Fan and say something fair. After all, a student who studied hard for years to get into college shouldn't have his future ruined over just 9 minutes, our nation's youth. But Director Zhao looked troubled too. After all, Staff Officer Gao was enforcing school regulations. He had no valid reason to stop her and he couldn't break the school rules himself first. But the instructor still wanted to plead for Yang Fan. Rules are rules, but people are alive. You can't ruin someone's entire life over 9 minutes. What kind of director are you if you can't even protect people? Not gonna lie, the instructor's words had a bit of reverse psychology, and it actually worked. Director Zhao reconsidered. After all, he was the director. What right did a small staff officer have to challenge him like that? He immediately decided to stand up for Yang Fan and keep him. But as they reached the office door, Staff Officer Gao walked out with a cold expression, as if she'd already guessed why they came. The words died on their lips. Looking at her standing there all high and mighty, we never should have transferred this woman here. Won't even look at you. Can't you just say one less thing? How dare you talk to me like that? I'm the director. Meanwhile, Yang Fan, who'd been told he was expelled, didn't leave. Instead, he squatted on the steps outside the building crying. Students passing by learned what happened and came over to comfort him, telling him to explain to the school why he was late. Maybe there was still hope. But Yang Fan had strong pride and didn't want classmates to know his family's real situation. He just stayed quiet, silently crying. Then a short-haired girl couldn't take it anymore. Walked over and yelled at Yang Fan to shut up. Shut your mouth. A grown man in broad daylight crying. In front of all these people, are you even a man? Stop it! He's already upset enough. Upset about what? Being a national defense student. What's so great about it? Will not being one kill you? It's not about being a defense student. If he gets expelled, he can't even be a regular student. Then just retake the exam next year. Though the short-haired girl sounded harsh, she actually had a tough exterior but a soft heart. She couldn't bear to see Yang Fan expelled either. So she ran to Staff Officer Gao's office to plead for him. I'm begging you, let him stay. Just tell him to go back. Go back. What if he does something to himself? If he's really that narrow-minded, he's not fit to be a soldier anyway. At least you should give him a chance. Talk to the school and let him be a regular student. The Gaokao is so hard. Why else? Do they call it Black June? Just go. Turns out Staff Officer Gao was the short-haired girl's sister. But even so, Staff Officer Gao had no intention of bending the rules, because to her, rules were rules. They couldn't and wouldn't be broken by anyone. By noon, the other students all went to the cafeteria, but Yang Fan was still hungry, sitting outside the building in a daze, not knowing what to do next. That's when the short-haired girl brought him a boxed lunch, telling him to eat first no matter what. After all, your body is the foundation of everything. At first, Yang Fan refused, but he couldn't resist her insistence and agreed. After eating, the two started chatting. Where are you from? A remote mountain area in Sichuan, yeah. Not that remote, then why were you late? But no matter how much the girl pressed, Yang Fan refused to admit it was because his family was poor and couldn't afford a ticket. He just took all the blame on himself, saying he left home late and couldn't make the registration deadline. Hearing this, the girl gave up. It's not about making mistakes, it's about not admitting them. That night, a few roommates worried. Yang Fan had nowhere to go, so they tried sneaking him back to the dorm for the night. But right at the entrance, they got caught by Staff Officer Gao on patrol, facing the strict female leader. The students were too scared to breathe. One of the roommates grabbed Yang Fan's luggage when she wasn't looking and ran back to the dorm. Oh no, we got caught! As he said this, a pair of old cloth shoes with worn out soles fell out of Yang Fan's luggage. The monitor picked up the shoes, saw the huge holes in them, and instantly understood everything. So the next day, the monitor gathered the whole class. He decided to fight for justice for this roommate they hadn't even really met yet. Report!